Hey, it's Tom from Inspiration Metalworks, and in this week's video we're going to build this ginormous frame here. Okay, as many of you have heard me say in the past, I'm a huge advocate for the idea of shopping local, and supporting your local businesses. Me being one of them, right? I am a small business, and in doing so, I often, I pick up jobs here and there that ordinarily wouldn't come my way. And this week's project is actually one of those kinds of jobs. So, coolest thing, I go into my local metal supplier, and we now have two in town, which is kind of nice to have a little choice. And the lady there, Renee, that I work with all the time, she's like, "Hey, I got a project for you. Had a customer come in, wants to build this aluminum frame, needs somebody to weld it. Are you interested?" Gives me this little hand-drawn sketch. It's like, "Yeah, sure, okay." So she goes, "Okay, great. The material's right here." The material was cut, mitered. Everything was ready to go, literally just needed to find somebody to weld it. And so I go in for this small piece of material, come out with a 10-foot by 6-foot, or material to build a 10-foot by 6-foot frame. So pretty excited about that. Got home, and one of the things I always do whenever I'm doing a new welding job and I'm working on this kind of thing is I always spend a little bit of time on some extra material to dial in my work process, right? What's that welding process going to look like? Some stuff I just have down. I do it all the time. 1/8 inch 6061. It's not one that I have dialed in, right? So I thought, okay, no problem. Bought a couple feet, made a bunch of blanks, and I fired up the diversion, start working at it, and of course it's the weekend, and I realized that I don't have the right kind of filler metal. I'm using 4043 filler metal, but I had the wrong diameter, and with aluminum, it was just blobbing up before I could dip the filler metal in there. So called up the customer, let them know there's a delay, everything was fine, not a big deal. Get to the welding supply store on Monday, and again, talking about shopping locally and supporting my local stuff. You can buy all this stuff online. You can go to Amazon. You can go to lots of different online stores. And I've bought from online stores before. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but in this case, I walk in, and the manager of the Arc 3 used to be a machine and welding supply company. Recognizes me, and he's like, "Hey, I've got a deal for you." And it was one of those where it was a deal that I just couldn't pass up. So let me change the camera angle and let's talk a little bit about going into the welding store for some filler wire and coming out with a whole lot more. Alright, well, I don't know how well you guys can see this or not, but this is my new to me Miller Dynasty 200DX. I've been using a Diversion 180, a Miller Diversion 180 for a couple of years now. It's done great. It is a wonderful piece of equipment. However, I've been getting to a point where I wanted a little finer controls over things like pulse or frequency controls, things like that. And what's really cool about the area that I live in is that we have a lot of racing teams around here, and not terribly close by. I mean, Charlotte's a couple hours away, but a lot of the NASCAR teams are based here in North Carolina, and they trade in their equipment very regularly. And this particular piece of equipment came from the Hendrick racing team. It's only a year old, and it's been very well maintained. So, power supply, new ground. They actually put everything together for me. It was really nice. WP-17 air-cooled torch with the flex head torch. extra set of connectors. Well, one of them went on the ground. One will go for my for a stinger, so I can stick weld with this. And then the last thing that I need to do is put the plug on it. Yeah, rather was not what I was expecting. It really was not what I was expecting. You're going in for $20 worth of filler metal and tungsten and coming out with this. But anyways, expect to see a whole lot more of this coming up soon. Alright, so one of the things that I noticed right away here is that I was making things a little too difficult. So if you've followed me at all on social media, you'll see that I changed the way that I was doing my work holding here, and made it a whole lot easier. This is aluminum angle. It's 3" by 1" angle, 1/8" wall thickness, and really just needs to be assembled. It's for an art piece. It's actually just the frame. There's going to be to hold an art piece. I was doing, let's see, 135 amps on the pedal and 332nd tungsten, 332nd filler, 4043 filler, and it seems to be dialed in pretty well. I'm really happy with this Dynasty. I really like the arc. It does a nice job, and any mistakes at this point are definitely on the operator and not on the machine anymore. So really, I was quite pleased by doing this. Let's see. So moving from here, we had I'd made the two halves, the two L's, and then I had to try and get them together into some sort of fashion here where we could actually get the two halves in place. Again, I'm working in a much smaller space than I'm used to, and made it a little more difficult, but got everything squared up, lots of clamping, and actually I'm really pleased to say that everything came out exactly square, so it worked out. The process worked just fine. But you notice I'm having to climb underneath stuff and do all kinds of things. It only got worse after this one. So this is the third of the corners, and so I've joined the two halves, or I get to this point where I join the two halves, and then it gets absolutely ridiculous because I've got to rotate this thing around. Okay, so after a ridiculous, and I do mean that, a ridiculous amount of time and energy and destruction, I got this thing end over end by myself, and we're gonna get ready to we'll wrap this up. So I'm gonna finish welding this out, and then I'll bring you guys back. All right, well, we are done. I tell you, whew, this one took some work. 10 foot by 6 foot is a wee bit bigger than I really ought to be moving around and trying to do in my shop. In fact, I've had to get down on my hands and knees and crawl around underneath and do all kinds of neat stuff on this one. But I got to use the new Dynasty 200DX, well, new to me, and absolutely love that welder. The arc on that was a big improvement. Not that I have anything negative to say about the diversion, but being able to control the settings. I'm at a point now with TIG welding that I need to be able to control settings, right? I mean, I've been at that point for a few years. I just didn't really have the money to spend on it, and as part of getting things relaunched, I went ahead and did that upgrade. So this was the first project I got to use it on, and I am incredibly pleased with that purchase. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. There's a ton of things I could have done better on this project. Everything from work holding to the way I did the welds themselves. There's all sorts of things. So feel free, if you saw something, throw it in the comments below. I know that everything went by real fast. That was both intentional, but also, so it wasn't an hour-long video as well.
But feel free to, if you saw something, particularly if you saw something unsafe, let me know. If you didn't know, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can find me pretty easily. Either look for my name or look for Inspiration Metalworks. And maybe I'll put some links down in the description as well. But thanks again. If this is your first time watching, or if you're not already subscribed, consider clicking that subscribe button. I really do appreciate all of that, and I appreciate all of you, and hopefully we're only a few days away. By the time this one releases, who knows, I may actually already be on the road, be heading out to John Saunders' new shop. So hope to see some of you guys out there, and I'll talk to you later. See ya. Oh, yeah, I can't even get into the frame for it. Right. Forget that.